going on and the traffic mitigation work. Wow, what a backup.
All right, we are recording and streaming and all of that good stuff, so just be on your best
Welcome.
behavior.
Maybe she looked at you when she said that.
Well, I've been really good so far.
Well, now that we're recording.
Just remember.
Oh, I just got an email just popped in from Ron. So maybe. Oh, he'll be here in 2 minutes.
Okay, we can wait 2 minutes.
Okay. How's everyone's spring?
Good. I think I found another vendor, or something for the, sustainability
Okay.
day. I'm in the garden club and I'm responsible for the spring sale.
Yep.
And we were digging some plants for people and this lady said, oh, and take some of these. Her husband retired and started this business. He makes these things, pass them around the field.
What are they?
100, they're scrubbers. You
Wow.
use them instead of paper towels. You can wash them in the washing machine.
Oh, neat.
And when you put them in water, they become really soft. And they're 100% paper pulp.
That's interesting.
And they sell them, he said, if the business is expanding, he lives over near Pleasant Hill. They sell them in Hannaford and Ace,
Oh, that's neat.
but he had boxes and boxes, so he could do a,
Yeah, do a demo and.
yeah, about how to avoid using paper towels.
Yeah.
They really change when you wet them.
Do you have his contact information?
I'll get it.
Okay.
I do have it.
Okay.
And
What is this material?
it's 100% pulp,
Wood pulp?
wood pulp.
Is it absorbent? Does it? pick up
Yes,
spills?
it's absorbent and
The
it
quicker
becomes,
picker upper.
and it becomes real soft and you can wash them in the washing machine. And if they start to truly fall apart, you can throw them out, but
Or compost them, I imagine.
you can
Yeah,
compost
because it's,
them,
yeah.
totally
fire.
compost them. Yeah,
I don't know what the thread is. Well, if
it's, he said, yeah, you can compost them.
You know, I got onto
They come
that
in a nice package that's fine.
Yeah.
on you spoke once of that too good to go.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I got on that and it's pretty ingenious. I just wish there'd be more
I know.
participation. Every time I go on, it's sold out,
I
sold
know.
out.
Oh, man, in the Boston area, because we have an apartment in Boston, it's
Is it wild
I
there?
was gonna say bigger cities. I think it's huge.
every store is doing it, and I mean.
Sometimes Brown Trading has too good to go and
Huh?
for like $5.99, you gotta be there by 3 PM to pick it up.
Yeah.
I saw it once where I could have gone, but I couldn't get there by the time.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
I just wanted to see what it was like.
It's
I
great.
forget, what is too good to go?
It's, restaurants at the
Oh,
end,
I
at the
think
end
you
of the
did.
day have stuff left
I
over.
remember, thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, we have everybody here. Greetings, and we'll call to order the May 22nd meeting. It's been 2 months since we last met. We did not meet last month. There's no guests. We have nobody online. We have Lydia who's online. So welcome. And we were provided the minutes from the March 27th meeting. Yeah, Jamie had included it in the agenda, looking for a motion to accept those, to get them in the record.
Thank you.
All right.
It's getting to be a harder sell.
I feel like, wow, are they?
You're gonna have to sort it by much. Her hands up.
Anton, you're gonna second it, right?
Absolutely,
Okay, great.
absolutely.
Any discussion on those?
I'm used to coming in second.
Seeing no discussion, we can do a roll call, or can we do raise a hand?
Lydia's online, so we have to do roll call.
Okay, all right,
Rick,
yes?
Anton,
Here.
okay, David,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Patrice.
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Lydia,
Yes.
thank you.
Thanks. All right, changes to the agenda or anybody have something they want to bring forth? Jamie had asked that we add a conversation on the electrical purchase information that the town has been working with, in conjunction with the fact that the Trigen is, down hard and, blocking in some electric prices for the budget. They could take the standard offer, but I think having a aggregator, and that's the line of work that, Lydia does, is a good benefit for the town, so they can kind of cue in on a budget. So with that, I'd like to add that to the agenda. With no objections. Seeing none, okay, we'll put that under new business.
Yep.
Anything else from the committee? And we don't have the public here, so there's no public comment. So we'll move right into old business and talk about the CPACE and the Sustainability Fund.
Sure, so CPACE, the town council voted to approve the commercial PACE ordinance. So we are now working through the process of kind of completing our agreement with Efficiency Maine to be the administrator of that. And an article did appear in the last newsletter about CPACE and that it's available and commercial property owners can take advantage of it for energy efficiency upgrades and things like that. So,
And renewables.
and renewables,
Yep.
yeah, definitely. So that's just a quick update. Yay, we have CPACE. I don't know, I don't know how many towns have adopted it. Last summer when we started this process, I think it was like 3 or 4, so
It's not much higher than that.
yeah, that's
So
what I
it
was
was-
thinking.
Yeah, but it complements what's already out there in the marketplace for homeowners.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to the pace for homeowners.
Yeah, and coupling that with rebates and incentives and things like that, it can be a really good opportunity for commercial property owners to make their buildings more efficient. So let's hope people take advantage of it.
Well, thanks for shepherding that through. It took a little while, but it happened and that's amazing.
Is there outreach work we need to do? Follow-up work?
Potentially, if we want to get it out to commercial business owners, probably working through Sedco and getting some information to Karen Martin and seeing if she can disseminate it to the businesses that she's working with.
That seems worth doing.
Yeah, that does
Because
seem-
We've gone
yeah.
through all of
Yeah.
this. They may as well know what
Yeah,
it is.
I think
Yeah.
Karen would be very helpful.
I would say one takeaway would be not to launch a new idea from a committee in October.
Yeah.
I think that was part of why, because we had turnover on the council and then all the committees changed and I didn't change, so I
Yeah.
stayed through the entire process,
Yeah.
but
April got
we
to
had
see the
3 new
presentation.
members on the committees and so I think just I think it would have gone through, in a first read, second read, right out of ordinance if we had done it in the spring, when there was some stability on the committees, but because we launched
But
it in the
spring,
fall.
it's budget time.
Yeah.
We can't do
There's
anything
never a
till
good
budget
time.
Fair.
August.
Next time.
I think we started it in August of last year.
Yeah,
All right, well, that's good then, good to have done, and thanks for all the work that Jamie and council did to make that happen for our business community. Next up is the Sustainability Fund.
yeah, I wanted to have a discussion on the sustainability fund. That one I think is another kind of victim of timing potentially, so
Just
It-
15 years of time.
I know, right? It's just, what's another year, Deb? What's another
That's
year?
why I said let's push.
So it did not make it into the fiscal year 25 budget. In the email that I sent you all last month, you may recall though that it's not looking like there's going to be any budget surplus on the electrical fees, that we were hoping to have a portion of those directed towards a sustainability fund. So at this point, there's kind of no loss. Other than the fact that the fund has not been established yet. So it's my understanding that this is still on the finance committee's kind of work plan. So it didn't make it into the budget, but it's still something that is on their radar that they would like to discuss. And so we need to talk about how to kind of move it up their work plan, I guess, now that budget is calming down a little bit.
Talk to me about the time of the year though for that.
I think now, honestly, I mean, the municipal budget is set. They're gonna start talking about the fiscal policy because every year we say we're gonna work on it, and John Anderson has had it on their short list, and so this is kind of when they do some housekeeping. And I think based on the fact that the committee right now is John Anderson and Karen Shu, and Don Cushing, I think now. I think start
And we
pushing
have
to have
the
those conversations.
finance director involved with that committee, right? And so he's aware that
Yeah, it was almost a year ago that we met with.
John and
And John Pucci and our finance director.
so what should we do as a committee?
So this is, I think, an initiative that really needs to be committee driven and not staff driven. So it would be helpful for committee members to reach out to John Anderson. I don't know if you can do some outreach to John Anderson.
Like
Always
individually,
happy to.
like each of us individually?
No, I
or
think Rick
committee
as
letter?
chair.
Okay.
Well, we can just recirculate or kind of update that letter that we sent to the other John.
Yes.
Well, and the memo itself did go to John Anderson because it was sent to them in December. So at that point, John Clucci was off the council. John Anderson was chair of the finance committee. So it went to the correct John.
Chair.
Yeah, so
So do you just remind him that you sent him a memo in December? Is that all we need to do?
I think I would just ask, request to be on the agenda, request to renew the conversation. Make yourself available, to the
I
next
can
finance.
reach out to him
Next
via
finance.
email and say, could we understand now it's housekeeping time and
Yeah.
we have a housekeeping issue we need to clean up from previous year. And
express
we'd
our
be happy to
Sure.
give you kind of an overview at your next or at the earliest meeting that we can attend.
mhm.
And then I'll get the date and we can see how that works with schedules and get somebody there.
Could we get a copy of that recent submission, previous submission?
Yeah, I'll recirculate the
And-
memo.
Is there any advantage to list or a table of our previous projects that have caused us to propose this? And don't know if everybody's up to speed on why we think we deserve having,
So the memo laid that out.
okay.
And talked about past projects and future initiatives that could be used with this funding and.
And it's actually incorporated into the comprehensive energy plan that we submitted and got approved, so it's just now council is taking action on something they already approved. But now we're getting it formalized in the budget process.
And
So I'll make a note for me to,
Now talk to-
you brought up the energy plan. I will share that the fiscal year 25 budget included a capital improvement project for a climate action plan. So basically taking our energy plan and expanding it.
Just like,
So that will be something that this committee I think have on their radar, probably starting in the spring. To initiate that work. So I'll be working on a grant proposal for a community action grant to get additional funding to support that effort. But it'll kind of look at our townwide emissions, develop strategies for reducing those emissions, and then also bringing together the results from the vulnerability assessment and the open space plan that we're currently working on. Into kind of bringing that all together into one plan so that all of that information is in one place. So it'll be a bit of taking. But exciting that we're looking at expanding on the work that this group's done through the energy plan with a climate action plan.
all right, I got me a reminder.
Perfect.
All right, going back to the agenda, now we're on new business and gonna turn it over to Jamie to talk about the electric supply pricing.
Yeah, let me pull up the information and get it so that everybody can see. Need to move screens around here.
Let me turn off the ceiling lights.
I know, let me do that too. 'cause-
There, see this one? Yep.
Oh, it's.
The other down.
I'm not sure which of these.
Thomas sitting next door wondering why the lights in his office keep going on.
Keep
and
flashing.
off.
All right, so, this, let me scroll down a little bit. So this is, kind of an analysis of the town's, electricity use in 2023. So, this is the information from our CMP bills. This is the information from reports that are generated out of, well, added to CMP information, added to information from the reports that come out of the software associated with Trigen, so we can see how much is being how much energy is being generated from the Trigen. So you can see, if you look at those numbers, there's not a whole lot of difference, and that is because Trigen has been down a good portion of the time in recent years, at least in 2023, and currently in 2024. And then looking at the CMP standard offer price in this column. And then looking at if we move away from CMP and purchase electricity from a different supplier, this is just non-certified energy, which is roughly 69% renewable energy.
This is what we're seeing here, this column, these are all historical figures.
This is basically looking at what the pricing would look like using 2023 as a case study.
Okay, but the supply price right now, those are current prices?
This
or
is-
historical prices?
So this is CMP's current standard offer, and if we were to sign a contract today, these are roughly the numbers that we would be looking at.
That standard offer price is what was going on in 2023, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Because remember, January was really, really high
Yeah.
because propane or natural gas was high, and we had some offline on crude and all that kind of
Okay,
stuff.
so we're looking at, these are historic prices right now.
So these two columns, the the 48-month supply price,
These are current
these are
prices.
current.
So we're comparing this year's prices to last year's prices.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yes,
yes. We had to do the analysis starting at some point, so.
no, I appreciate that, but I guess one of the validity threats is that it doesn't account for things that Rick just mentioned, drop in the cost of energy
Yeah,
between
Well,
that.
the supply prices there are fixed prices. Those won't be subject to market movement.
That's why it's nice to do it with a third party, because you can lock in certain pricing, so when you go to do your budget, you kind of know, based on historical consumption use, you now have a price.
Okay, so the column that the little hand is on right now, these are prospective prices.
Well, if you look down, no, that the pricing down below in the chart are what's the prices going forward.
so these aren't perspective, these are locked in. Once a contract is signed, that would be our pricing for the next 48 months.
No, wouldn't it be down here in the bottom chart? It'd be the 10,798.
Where,
That seems to make sense.
If you have your period of July 24th to November 26th.
these were for if we chose to do a different term.
Then I don't understand what this 40, so if we, this is a bit confusing.
Yes.
The 48-month term, what is that?
So we would sign a contract for 48 months.
So for 48 months, that price is not gonna change.
Yeah,
The
correct.
price that we're gonna have is down here.
That's the 10.
I got you. All right, I see it now. There were
Seven
28,
price.
36, 48, or a 53
Exactly.
month term. You're
We're looking at
suggesting the 48, which
Yes.
locks in the 10,697.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
So,
yeah.
yeah, okay, now I'm following where we got this. It's kind of funny that you're putting historical prices in a chart that is dated with the dates, but has that number in it.
Right,
That's
like-
what's confusing.
Like I said, this was doing an analysis of, looking at a case study of 2023. What was our energy use in 2023? And what would that look like if we had today's pricing that is being outlined in this?
Mhm.
And
Okay.
so just if I can add, so if you're looking at the CMP price column and you're trying to think about those dates, January through December for that 48-month term, we can't predict those prices. So it's like Jamie's trying to say, so we're looking at the historical volatility compared to how it could be fixed for 4 years.
What does
okay.
FPP pricing mean? What does FPP stand for here?
That's the aggregator, right?
What is
So that's a
FPP
third-party
price-
supplier.
FPP is third party.
Is First Point Power. It's, sorry, Jamie, I'm jumping. It's an example of a third-party supplier that you could contract with.
You know, it's fascinating, so that you would pay you pay 0.10698 per kilowatt hour to lock in a contract for 53 months? Is that correct?
Yep.
Why is there no futures curve to this? Why? Usually, you would think that there would be a curve. You know, to lock in for a longer period of time is more expensive than to lock in for a shorter period, because that's the way that futures are priced.
Well, it is, if you
Does
look
go
down
up.
below.
If you look
Yeah,
from
it's more
20 to
expensive.
53 months.
Yeah.
It does go up.
It does, but you see it flattens. It's very strange.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
There's not much of in other words, there's not much of a curve to this, which means there would be no incentive to lock in for a short period of time, because you're not really saving anything. I know
Unless you thought that you wanted to play the market and see what
Oh, yeah.
the prices
I
look
think
like
that-
in 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be relatively foolish, so.
Depends on what happens.
Well, I know New England, they do go forward looking.
Mhm.
Nobody has the perfect crystal ball, that's for sure.
No, I know, but typically there's a futures curve.
Well, that means that the people who put this together don't believe prices are going up over that block of time. Isn't that what the futures curve means?
Yeah, and some other things.
Well, and there are other factors that I think are, that I don't really want to get into, but are coming into play. There are some anticipated changes in the electricity supply market that may help stabilize things, over time.
You know, it's interesting, you didn't reduce these to actual dollar numbers, objective dollars. This is how much we spend on electricity.
Isn't that what's at the bottom?
No, I think these are all prices per kilowatt hour.
No, but I mean.
No,
no,
On the right side.
All the way over there,
The
104,000.
green is
Yeah.
the total, the dollar.
Well, that's
That's
actually the
the
savings, so that's
That's
not what the
savings.
total amount is. That is.
Well, yeah, if you took the
We can,
historical use and then you took the cost of all of that, you could come up with what it costs.
Yeah, you could.
do you want me to whip out my
We can
calculator and do that?
No, and I can do that too, but I mean, if you're gonna be presenting this to somebody,
Mhm.
it makes an easier explanation if you're showing them objective dollars. This is what we spend now, this is what we would save
Well,
if
this
we
is
went
why
with
we're coming to
option,
you all.
option A or B or option C, you know, so.
But we can't predict how much we will save just because we can't know what the CMP prices will be.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
But it's budget certainty and it's protecting yourself from, I mean,
Yeah, no, you're locking.
who knows,
in.
the president, you know, the king of Saudi Arabia dies tomorrow and throws off a whole, you know.
You're locking in the price. And
yeah, yeah.
At the end of the period, you might say, that was a smart move, or we were stupid, so let's get rid of Rick.
And you can see where there was the red indicates where it wasn't at the time the best deal.
Right.
Yeah.
But overall, it is a best deal because look at the savings.
It would have been a best deal in 2023 if we were able to.
It absolutely
Yeah.
reduces,
Correct.
it absolutely reduces our risk because we are not in the electricity business. We are in the town administration business.
And the natural gas business as well, because pricing for natural gas is.
It does affect and then our RPS also affects the price, the renewable portfolio. And so does SCM and all that other stuff that goes in, but, and just be aware that this is just the supply of the electricity. That number, or if you take the number of kilowatt hours over the cost, that only represents half of the electric bill. The other half is the transmission and distribution. And that comes with demand charges because of the rate class that this building is in, which, you know, was supposedly going to be the benefit of the Tri-Gen was to minimize the demand that this building needed off the grid, which would significantly lower the cost for the town. That was the whole premise behind the Tri-Gen. So I think what Jamie is looking for is something of a conversation about whether we just go with the supply as indicated, and the town's looking at the 48-month
Yes,
period. Now, there is 100% green adder to this that will provide funding for those that are putting the good stuff on the grid. And we can claim that we've contributed to that goodness. That's the easiest layman I can put
You've
it.
lost me.
so basically, if we want 100% certified renewable energy, it's about $10,000 more per year. And let me say to
And
be,
why would we do that?
Because we want to promote,
because it's the right thing to do.
we want to promote the renewable portfolio that's going on to the grid. The whole idea is to clean the grid.
But that is specifically what Tom asked this group to have a conversation around. Is it worth the additional cost to go fully
Green.
renewable?
I would say yes.
I would say yes.
I would say yes
I would
too.
say yes.
And in a perfect world and time, there won't be a difference.
Right.
That expresses our moral commitments as a town,
Yes.
but I don't know how you quantify that.
$10,000.
I know, when I say quantify, compared to not having any moral commitments.
Well, we will all go to heaven and everyone else will go to hell.
I mean, we're also contributing to the, you know, the future stability of the grid, which will save everyone money. I mean, it's a long-term investment.
Okay, I don't care which one you go.
So is the $104,000 column, is it like zero green? Is it 99% green, and what is it?
It's roughly 69% renewable. That is kind of like the standard.
That's where our current, that's off of ISO New England, right? So that's the current
So we're
status of
going
renewable.
from 70% to 100% for $10,000.
Yep,
And that's per year.
That's per year.
So this committee could recommend it and then council could do whatever the heck they want.
I think that's what they're looking for.
I would like for this committee to at least recommend it, to make the statement that greening the grid is of value and that we would support efforts to green the grid.
You want to put that into motion?
Out of
We'll
curiosity,
discuss.
FPP, how stable are they? Will they stand up to these contracted prices?
I mean, if it's a contract, I think they have to.
Well, I mean.
I mean, I can just,
I guess what I'm talking about here is counterparty risk. I mean, it's so, oh, well, I've locked in my prices. Can I mean, are they? gonna be
Lydia,
able to-
I think, wants to.
Yeah,
make-
Lydia.
Yeah, I'm assuming that we are working with, there's a broker here who's only gonna be working with, you know, trustworthy suppliers. I
Yeah.
mean, I happen to know from my job that First Point Power is a like completely stable, reliable company. I mean, but the committee should, if that's a concern, I mean, we should get
I
that
mean,
reassurance
well,
from
we all know what
whoever,
happened with
from whoever
electricity.
provided these prices. Yeah.
I mean, is First Point Power a middleman or is that?
It's a third party supplier, electricity supplier.
Do they generate electricity or are they buying the electricity?
They
from-
buy the electricity. Yeah.
So much I don't understand.
It's
So
the
they're
world of
actually-
decouple.
So your contract is with First Point Power, not with a major power generator or
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
it's not with like Duke Energy or somebody like that.
I mean, it goes back to, so New England has a deregulated energy market where you are legally able to go out and seek your own competitive energy prices. So you're not beholden to just pay a utility price. And so you have these third-party suppliers that provide those competitive prices, and they work with the utilities. So they'll handle like enrolling your accounts with the utilities at that contracted rate.
They have to be approved to be on.
Absolutely.
As a third
Yeah.
party by the PUC.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't, yeah. I mean,
Just-
where I can provide some sort of like expertise is just simply on like, I would say First Point Power, I would have no hesitation to sign a contract with them, basically.
That's good to know, Lydia. I
Yeah.
know you're in that market every day, so
Sure. Yeah,
that brings some. I'll just play it on the flip side, because we all know what happened with electricity Maine. That's
sure.
essentially what we're doing here is we're purchasing the electricity from that third party. And Electricity Maine didn't hold up to there. They came in thinking, okay, we're gonna undercut the standard offer, get all these residential folks on the energy. They didn't have good forecasting. And they ended up losing.
And they didn't have a good contract in the sense that there's gonna be language in contracts about change in laws, which could allow a supplier to change the price that you've contracted for. I would say again that First Point offers a completely fully fixed price just based on my work experience. But like, I think the committee, if that was something that we wanted to confirm, we could request a working draft sample contract and just check that language. And I'm assuming the town is going to do that work too. I mean, before signing anything, but that was the issue with Electricity Maine, is that they were offering a fully fixed price, for that 48th month term that we see here, or whatever contract term that people were signing for. And then in change, when ISO was issuing new, adding on new programs, basically they were passing those prices, those change in prices onto their customers. I think,
So then the customers were ending up paying more than the standard offer.
yeah, even though they thought
And
they weren't
that's
fully fixed
when they got
price
angry.
contracts, yeah,
And so we no longer have Electricity Maine around.
yeah.
So, good context, Lydia, and, I don't know at this point, do you wanna state your thoughts in a motion and then we can discuss this green?
So Jamie, the question that Tom wanted us to think about was, do we want to pay the premium of 10,000 a year?
That was the specific question, I think.
To green it,
Yeah.
green it up.
Yeah, having the general conversation that we've had so far, I think was also, what is your take on these numbers and having the feedback, from you, Anton, of displaying them differently is helpful. But yeah, specifically, how would this committee want the town to go?
Who's made the decision to lock it in to potentially lock it in for 48 months versus 53 months? Is that-
That was a discussion with the recommendation from the broker that the town is working with. And it just.
Look at the difference, it's one
It's
thousand.
It's infinitesimal.
It's
Yeah.
so insignificant.
Yeah, so if you're gonna lock it in, I mean, maybe you wanna lock it in.
Well, that's if you believe that rates are gonna
Yeah, but
stay high and
but
go
we're
up
not in the speculating business.
for 5 more months. Yeah, you are. If we're between 48 and 53 months, then you're.
And this group's also talking about developing a municipal solar array, so having, it locked in for 4 years.
By then, maybe we'll have some of our own power to put on the grid.
Right.
Just the way
So do you
that's.
want to run a motion?
There's no requirement in any of this so far that we know of that says I must use some number of kilowatts per year.
They looked at our historical use and our.
But our historical use could go up or potentially magically go down.
Well, if we get a municipal solar array, then.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, if
so
you look
could
at the
that work?
notes, the prices include an unlimited bandwidth.
Okay, so
Yep.
up or down?
I move.
That must be a technical term, unlimited.
We have a motion being played on the floor.
Not sure if I'm gonna get this linguistically proper, but I move that the committee recommends the 100% green admin.
Second,
Okay, now we can have a discussion. I'm in favor of it. I'm in favor of it because one, it recognizes the value of renewable. And it certainly will add to the decrease of the price as more renewables come on. 'Cause you've always heard that, renewable energy is expensive, and it is right now. But this is the way that it helps drive down costs.
Generate
in long
economies
term.
of scale.
Correct.
Well, and it costs $10,000 out of $1.8
So,
million.
but
So
it's-
1.5.
It's a 10% difference for a 30% increase in. I mean, which sounds terrible. To me, but
Well, it's a 10% difference in the
sounding
savings.
and morality have nothing in common. So.
There's a 10% difference in the savings. It's not a
Yes.
10% difference in the cost.
No,
Right.
I know, but it's
It's
a ten
like a-
percent difference in the.
I'm trying to do the math in my head.
Yeah.
It's like a 1 or 0.1%. I'm not doing the math
Yeah.
because I'm talking.
See, that's why it would be useful to have dollar numbers
Yes,
there. That
exactly.
way, everybody's not having to do basic arithmetic,
Yes,
heaven forbid.
I can pull up an Excel spreadsheet if you wanted to do the math.
It'd be $40,000 over the life of the contract, approximately, right? Right?
and the cost of the contract is the number we don't have.
No, it's 1
Or a number we
million.
have. The number we
Yeah,
have
if you,
to calculate.
It's like, it's about 1.6 million for the 1 year. And so you're talking about 10,000 out of 1.6
Yes.
million.
That's
It's totally reasonable.
Yeah, it is, it's a small price to pay
to do our share.
That's the number. we want.
yeah, to express our moral commitments to greening up the electricity supply. And I like Rick's comment about it contributes to additional investment in green energy, which it would then give economies of scale.
And is intended to drive down the cost.
Yeah, the economies of scale.
So I guess the other question I have is. I'm not really sure I understand column, what actually, other than the month column 2 and column 3.
Yeah,
So the actual usage of the town is really column three.
it's column
right?
three.
And it just happens that, interestingly, for the last 6 months of 23, the Trigen must have been functioning, right?
Yep,
It did a little bit. It did 300,
Yeah,
It did better in certain months,
300
didn't it?
yeah.
1,000 kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
It's a warm weather. According to that, it's a warm weather product.
But that,
I know, that tells me it's on vacation during the warm months. Well, that's the thing, it's so inconsistent there.
Yeah.
I don't think that we have a trend for when it's most efficient and when it's not.
We really weren't using it for the heating aspect, and it was driving the absorption chiller that does the air conditioning
But
for.
it, but
That's
it's,
that's where it was.
It's
Okay.
the 2 point whatever number, 2 point, I can't read from here, number that we need to say is roughly times the, whatever the supply price
Yeah.
is, that gets us
That's,
what the cost of this contract is.
well, just a second then, because now I've got myself all boggled, because this was in kilowatt hours and not
Yeah.
in dollars. right?
Yeah.
You're right. So that's only like $200,000.
Yeah, I have those numbers.
And we're really saving $100,000?
So I have,
$200,000?
it's there, yeah, 200,000.
Like half
Created a
the
mess.
price?
So the difference in cost, so if we're looking at the green certified, that's gonna be roughly $229,000 a year. And then the non-certified is going to be roughly $206,000 a year. So we're looking at a difference of $23,000 per year to go green.
So not 10.
Well,
Not
Oh,
ten.
that's
Not 10.
10,000, what,
yeah, well,
So that is the savings and not the actual cost.
right, but the difference between the savings is $10,000, so the difference between the cost should be 10,000.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so we should get that from savings. So, right,
But the actual cost of 2 million kilowatt hours at approximately 10 cents a kilowatt hour, rounding, is $200,000.
Mhm.
And so, or at CMP prices, $300,000. Okay. So that's where we're getting the $100,000
yeah.
savings.
yeah.
Okay, so we're really talking about a $10,000 difference on a $200,000 bill. Cause I was misreading that in your chart before. I still want to do it because in the context of the town's budget. It's really a rounding error to make a statement that I would like to see us make.
And then once you factor in the maintenance and repair costs of Trigen,
Well, forget about Trigens, we're not.
no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, that's another cost that the town is currently paying.
Right.
Um,
We'll let them give up on Trigen.
We do have one more expense on that, and that's the decommissioning. But we should also get, a pretty decent price because they'll sell it, so.
Yeah, it is, there's been a little bit of discussion around that, and we believe that there are still useful components in there that, would be,
So there is another cost that's gonna get incurred.
that's a one-time cost.
and actually, that's a follow-on to this discussion. These numbers, the column 3 could assume that we don't use the Trigen at all. That's our consumption. So
Historically.
historically, and we have some or no reason to think that that'll change.
Just out of curiosity, what is the standard offer price right now? And are we currently paying standard offer price?
Yes,
What is the standard offer price for like the first couple of months of 24?
I could look that up quickly.
Lydia's gonna look that up.
I could look that up quickly.
Thanks, Lydia.
Yeah.
Depends,
Large.
yeah.
It depends on the rate class.
Trigen in it.
Probably MGS.
It does some.
Yeah,
Trigen
okay.
That we would not be making on site anymore, so that's our usage.
Yeah.
So that 2 million is what we used in 2023. We made a little bit of it. When we bought.
MGS three-phase, it's probably likely because we have an elevator, so there's a motor for hydraulics, so it's three-phase
Yeah.
service. Which is different than an MGS single phase. Well, I want to remind folks, we do have a motion on the floor.
One second, we'll discuss it.
Yeah,
Can we vote on it?
sounds like a train.
It's a fire.
Fire truck.
Oh.
Barn.
They say the down Easter is off the track. Coming down Route 1.
It's remarkable. It seems like it's much cheaper if we just get an electricity contract and try to generate it ourselves.
Well, generating it.
Yeah.
In that method, yeah.
It wasn't so much for the value of the price of electricity, it was more for reducing the demand required for this building and use it through the Trigen.
Right, because the other piece that we're missing on this
Is
is
the
the delivery
T&D.
costs,
Mhm.
and the delivery costs are based on the highest 15 minutes that you use during the course of the year. And so if you can get that dropped, then your delivery costs drop significantly. That's why the school system had been turning on a generator on certain days and certain times in August. I don't know if they're still doing that or not, to artificially
Drop their
drop their
use.
peak load.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not artificially, they're choosing to drop their peak load, and that's what.
That's demand management.
Yeah,
And
that's
that is
what-
now a program in Maine, and the town could enter into a demand management plan with Efficiency Maine to actually be paid to shut stuff down during whatever, the high peak, and nobody knows when that day is. But when it's that day, the cost of electricity is so wildly expensive,
Yeah,
and then that changes the market.
It's usually in the summer, but
It's-
this year it
that's
was,
what screwed up the Texas grid too. I mean, on certain days, people were being charged thousands and thousands of dollars for electricity.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but we don't have that in the ISO grid. We don't have, that's not our policy. And then they have brownouts. But the idea behind this is if the school and the municipality could, and my question that's off the motion is, what is the school doing? Because if they were to go in with us, would that affect the price?
they have a contract with a solar, they're purchasing solar credits. So they're doing their own thing.
It just seems like
Why is it?
two entities could, and it could drive that over, because we're gonna be buying more. It could reduce our supply price.
Yeah, why aren't these decisions being made on a consolidated basis?
Don't know.
Because that's not how we do governance.
It's 7 cents right now, or it was 7 cents for the month of April. 7.5.
7.5 cents for the standard offer.
For MGS service.
Yeah,
See, this is where extending contracts might not be a good move.
You win some, you lose some.
Are really vulnerable.
MGS.
But what this does is gives stability in the budget.
No, and I know, I mean, this is called risk mitigation. I mean, it may.
You're
work,
buying
it may not.
insurance.
Yeah.
So is the committee settling on that the value of the purchase of the green is approximately 10,000 a year additional, well, less savings, I should say.
I think as a matter of principle, the committee should support sustainable.
I think that's why we're a committee.
Yeah.
And so does that mean
Green
we go
energy.
for the longer contract?
So.
No, we would still be looking at the 48-month term.
That's not our choice.
Well, it's somebody's choice,
Yeah, and we'll leave that up to town council and staff on that.
but
They're looking for input on whether the value.
so the way I see the world, it raises bigger issues here. Like, why don't we have a consolidated energy plan that includes school and town?
That's a different agenda item if you wanna bring that up.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, I mean.
I hear you. I've
And
always
then
been
you
my,
talk about demand management, maybe that's something also to start to think about.
it's tough on schools on demand management because the peak is usually in the summertime. The school's usually closed or minimal activity going on. The lights are already, should be off.
Right.
Although I will say, in 2023, the peak was in September.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, no, it's.
Yeah, we had that
switching.
really hot spell,
That first
remember?
week of
Yeah.
September, and that was where our peak was.
Usually it's in July sometime, isn't it,
Well,
Lydia?
It's as
August?
like more solar is getting added to the grid, the peak is getting pushed back later in the day, so which kind of like leaves the window open now for the. I mean, September seems to be a continuation of summer, really, these,
Now
so
we see it that, yeah.
where you have everybody back at work, back at school. Yeah, I don't, this, it's not necessarily, I mean, we'll see what happens this summer, obviously, but. it's
We have
not
more heat
necessarily
pumps on
just
the
in July,
online
August.
now than we used to.
Yeah,
Yeah, the behind the meter solar, like Lydia said, has made a big difference because usually the peak was around like 2 or 3 in the afternoon and now it's being pushed to like
like
4 or
5, 6,
5.
7, yeah.
And the addition of everybody charging their EVs and all that is going to
Sure,
change
yeah,
the profile of when our peak is. And ideally, you want to minimize that peak. You want to have, the valleys filled in.
Yeah, so the trend is shifting and it's harder and harder to predict right now
Yeah.
because there is so much changing with
Yep.
just how we're functioning.
Can I ask a really stupid question? What group in town takes a look at these issues at this level to determine energy management and what is the best way of pushing forward? Is that a finance function? Is that your function? I mean, is that our function? I mean, who does that?
Not us.
It's at this point, it's not really defined. So in these,
Because it seems like there's a couple of pieces here that need to be pulled together and looked at
It's always been.
on a consolidated basis.
well, and I think, since I've been here and Trigen has been here, we've kind of been all in on Trigen. And so we haven't necessarily been looking at the wider picture. And so this has provided the opportunity to start having these conversations. And I think that our climate action plan will also lay out some, recommendations and guidelines related to that.
Who asked the question, to chair or anybody?
Thing that has been a question.
Should be voted.
Oh, Pat, you moved on the motion?
Only.
I'll call that. I just
9%
put the side conversation.
Can I also just add, I think there's some important marketing benefits to getting the 100% greenie adder. I mean, as far as I'm aware, the town isn't purchasing RECs or anything to offset emissions
We're not.
at the time, right? No, so
Right.
just to kind of be able to do 2 birds, 1 stone, budget certainty, protection from market volatility, and also some sort of marketable investment in green energy. So
It could be an article in the Scarborough newsletter that. Because I love the updates on the committees and what the committees are working for, and I think that's a time to educate.
Yep.
So I want to check in with the committee and see, are we at a point where we want to vote on that motion?
Yes.
Well, do we want to add, I'm just asking if we want to add any explanatory language to that, like put a comma, add.
My suggestion is that at the end of the statement, we say, which is only approximately a 5% increase in the cost of yearly consumption, whatever, to indicate our support for green energy.
If I'm sure on that 5%.
No, because we're trying to do math and. we're
Yeah,
not-
and I don't want to
Yes.
put a number to it.
It's $200,000 approximately for regular, and it's 210 for non-regular, for green.
We're making the
Ten
recommendation.
thousand over 200,000 is 5%.
5%.
On my check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did that math and got there too.
Yeah.
separately.
But all we're doing is making a recommendation.
That's why I say approximately, and it indicates that it's not a big number, and it indicates why we're saying it is because we believe that that's worth our,
It's an investment in the future.
however you
I
want to
don't-
finish
I
that
don't-
sentence.
I don't like the 5% thing. I think that,
When we, you know.
We'd have to do an amendment to the
Yeah.
motion.
but if people look at that, you know, you think about inflation.
You know, we're
whatever,
not
and if you
making a
think
financial
5%
decision.
inflation, people are gonna go, oh,
We're
no, I
not-
don't
we're
want to do
making a
that.
moral.
Maybe just leave the 5% out,
So
say
if we
it's a
leave-
moral.
So if we leave the 5% out and just put that rationale.
Yeah, put the
because we
rationale.
support-
That's a rationale for it, but the
Yeah.
motion states that this committee is recommending to the town council that the electricity supply costs include the be part of the supply, the e-supply, which is the renewable 100% green energy.
Because we
the mission
believe
of
it's
this
the
committee.
right thing to do, and we can't
Thing
price
someone will say
that.
is,
Yeah.
what the hell are you
What
hiding?
the right-
So you'll fix up that motion a little bit. But I think we're all there. The motion is really, we're saying we'd like to use for budget purposes, the supply cost with the with the green.
If you're making a strict economic decision here, you go with the lowest price. And we're not doing that because we're making a moral decision based upon what we think is correct.
Well, and I think deep down, we're making a financial decision here because
Sure.
it's going to lower the cost across all ratepayers.
In the long run.
Right.
And I think-
So, but we don't need to say any of that stuff. But there is a moral and there is a financial. It shouldn't be discounted that there is a financial aspect to this. So we have the motion, we have a second. We ready to vote?
Will you read it, please, before we?
Oh my gosh.
She has
to.
I have to go back and rewatch this. All right, so, because my notes are not,
We want the e-power price.
yeah. To show support for renewable generation.
Yes.
And I will finesse that based on this
No, no,
conversation, but
That's the part I want to do.
it's recorded, so I can go back and
That's
try to
fine.
tease out exactly.
You read what I wanted you to read.
Or else put down whatever you think is about it.
No, don't give me that power.
Rather vote on something I don't want to. vote.
Yeah, all right, so recommending the 100% renewable option to show support for renewable energy generation. I'll fix that up.
I just think it raises so many other interesting issues.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the motion at this point.
I know.
Stop being a rebel without a cause.
No, it's good cause. It's a good cause.
All right, all in favor of the
I
motion?
have to roll call.
No, that's
Deb,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
David,
Yes,
Rick,
yes,
Anton,
Yes.
Patrice.
Yes.
Lydia,
Yes.
thank you.
unanimous.
Okay.
Woo!
We did some.
Well, just think, if we didn't have that on the agenda item, we would have been done. But no, I think that's
Good conversation.
a good
Yeah, no,
conversation to
really.
have and hopefully the town council will see it.
And
that way.
back to Anton's question about coordination, we have had several conversations in this committee about energy coordination between the town and the school system. And so it might be worth asking Jamie to just poke at that question a little bit, like,
How does the school make these decisions?
Same
Because,
way we do.
no, because
Well,
frankly, if we were a
Superintendent.
consolidated unit, we might get better pricing on a consolidated
well,
basis.
there were questions for a while about whether we should be doing our paper orders that way. Like,
Our paper orders.
Like
the paper
Yeah.
and.
It makes it, you know,
Like
that delivers the photocopy
I
paper.
mean, those kind of things make sense.
do we know that the town and the school are paying different rates?
Yeah.
I'm sure they are.
They are.
I was on the board when we approved the solar agreement, so it had to have been at least 4 years ago. And that it worked its way through committee and was presented to us by our facilities director and the school board voted on it.
Mhm.
Exactly like it comes through the town. why there's no coordination between the town and the council.
Yeah, I mean, it might be nice to invite members of the facility committee. And have an open discussion about why aren't we, aggregating together. And controlling and possibly being able to do demand management.
Because the source of funds to pay for all of this is coming from the
It's the
town.
same person.
Yeah.
I mean, to the extent that there could be some economies of scale triggered.
We've had that numerous discussions with that. It's just everybody lives in the silo and that's the problem.
That ain't the way it's done.
Somebody must be out there bust some of these silos.
All right, well, can you put that on?
For agenda
future-
item,
Yeah.
bust the silo, that's what
Bust
I
the
heard.
Yeah,
I think that, like I said earlier, that'll be a really good conversation to have as part of the climate action plan also, because it will be bringing in all areas of
Yeah,
town government
But when
and
you have such a
public and private sector.
macroscopic kind of conversation, this is a specific issue, like energy. Let's work together. At least let's understand what we're both trying to do.
Their contract is.
Is there a special energy
Or
group,
find out what that.
April, special people that consider, is it facilities that makes these decisions
On the school
for
side,
the school side?
they have a long-range planning committee and they meet with the facilities director and they
And
have these
finance
discussions
department.
and the finance department, and then they all came and presented to the whole
But their energy decisions are made by the,
facilities manager.
it'd be interesting to have a conversation with them.
Todd
we
Jepson-
have it on our agenda
Todd
now.
Jepson, he's the best.
Hmm?
Sounds.
Todd Jepson is the facilities director for the
Yep.
school.
Are they the only entity in town that's separate from the the regular? Just the school?
Yeah. Yeah, the water treatment is, on its own, it's its own government, I mean, they're,
Quasi governmental.
but
Yeah.
that's not made,
Yeah,
that's
but
made,
that's
funded
taxpayers.
with taxpayer
Yeah,
dollars, that's
that's
ratepayer dollars.
Yeah.
So, you pay as you play, sort of speak.
Maybe we could learn something from them. I mean, maybe they have a slam bang wonderful.
Or maybe
From
learn something
contract.
from Portland or from South Portland. There's all kinds of ways to go about this, but.
We just gotta have the conversation. And the top-down approach,
Ron.
support.
Not that I don't love all this in the cloud stuff, but we did not come up with something that says without the trigen, it costs this much, with the trigen, it costs this much. With maintenance, here, therefore, without the trigen saving or costing us this much money. Was that something we were supposed to do? It seemed to me as though that's how that started, and now we're just saying, oh, you're not gonna. Let's go spend money.
We said that at our last meeting. We said we're not gonna have to try to.
Okay, I just want to clarify, make sure that we haven't dropped it.
No, at the last meeting, this group just voiced that, you were supportive of moving away from the trigen.
Just
Just
period,
yeah.
end of statement, don't care what happens to it.
Well,
Don't need to, no, I mean, in the sense of we don't, aren't gonna sit there and come up with some magic replacement.
right,
Though
That's fine.
we
I
all
just
do have the agenda item that's working its way through whatever about solar.
yeah,
Solar farm.
We are gonna, because of the grant that town's going after, that's gonna be a conversation that we are gonna be brought here.
But
And this will be the
But we're
committee
not
that it gets
asking
worked
to
through.
replace it with.
Yeah,
solar,
that's
try
great.
that.
Yeah,
We're
we're
not
just-
asking to do
right.
that. I think the world is moving in a different direction.
You're only asking to replace it with silence.
yes.
And I think that request is directed at.
Well, I was in that, that's why he brought me into the meeting when they had this first meeting with them.
Yeah.
That's when he dropped the ball, that they dropped the line, well, the trigen needs to go. So that's why I was invited to that meeting with the.
Well, that and your expertise.
Anyway,
If we were to take the figures that you presented today and add in the maintenance costs on the trigen and find out what it would cost to shut it off, that would affect a lot of the budgeting numbers. So do we, not today, want to make a stronger statement about the Tri-Gen with the benefit of knowing what those costs are?
I don't think we need to. I think we already made that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I believe that the 25 fiscal year 25 budget had removed the maintenance and repair cost of Tri-Gen out of the budget with the understand, because this was the direction that the town was headed.
Well,
That we wouldn't be using the Tri-Gen anymore.
Actually, there's additional savings with it going down because in the wintertime, we were using the boiler system, the natural gas boiler system, and we were using natural gas there. Now our consumption of natural gas will decrease.
I get all that, but I haven't convinced myself that there's an end point that as of December 31st of some year, we're not gonna have a budget anymore. Or at some point, we asserted that the funds for the maintenance are taken out of the budget. And then what?
Well, if we're not maintaining it, we're not running it. Because it's not running currently.
Right. I was just looking for a policy or a statement that has an endpoint to it.
Well, and I don't. and
Well,
that's
it's an
not this-
operational thing.
Yeah, that's not, so that's not this group's decision, that's, town council, town manager decision, so I'm not sure,
What,
maybe I'm just not
To
understanding.
decommission the Tri-Gen? I'm sorry, Dave, you lost me.
I think implicitly that has been decided,
To
Yes.
decommission the Tri-Gen.
right?
Yes,
That seems to be the decision based upon the numbers associated with it. It costs too much to maintain.
No, I understand all that. I'm looking for public information that says we bought this thing and now we're not gonna use it anymore. For good reasons. I may be putting to fine point on it, but
Well, it's whether we wanna have that statement out there or we just wanna have it as an operational process that occurred within
the budget process.
the budget process and the engineering or the maintenance of our facilities.
Isn't this like this argument like old soldiers? They don't die, they just fade away?
probably.
Hey, easy with that.
Well, you weren't a soldier.
I was,
Yeah, you were a sailor. You floated, you didn't walk.
all right, we have to get going with our agenda, folks. We have updates of the town council from April.
Sure. The revaluation letters went out yesterday.
Ooh.
I've had 9 calls already this morning. I'm definitely a little bit preoccupied this morning with trying to make sure that residents understand how to calculate their new tax bills. So that's gonna be the biggest thing.
What is your number anyway?
Site. I'm happy to supply
I have your
it.
cell phone
If my
number.
cell phone number is on the website, that is how people
That's
call
called-
me.
You know what that's called? Big mistake. Big mistake.
At the last council meeting, the council approved the second reading of the FY 25 municipal budget, which resulted in a 1.5% increase to the mill rate. So if you're getting a huge tax bill, it's largely attributed to the revaluation. We tried to minimize the impact of the increased spending this year. And hopefully residents will appreciate that.
It's
The
just the timing.
election is June 11th,
That's
to
what
vote on
we-
the school budget, and obviously, we always hope that people don't take their frustrations out on the school budget, because they really did submit a reasonable proposal this year, and so please go vote, June 11th
Or today.
or today. Absentee voting is available in town hall. I think that's all for updates.
So the mill rate's gonna go up too.
The mill rate is coming way down as a result of the reval.
But the
And
val-
so the values went up, obviously townwide. There's a shift from commercial properties to residential properties, and that's actually where we're feeling the biggest pinch, because residential values went up proportionally higher than commercial properties in town. But the new mill rate is set at $11.05.
Okay.
Compared to other towns in the neighborhood.
South Portland's is 22. Cape Elizabeth's is almost 20, I mean, so.
When was their revaluation?
That's a good question.
The law says now revaluations, you gotta be 80% of market, right?
Yes. I imagine every town with the
But
market rate increases we've seen in southern Maine, I imagine that many towns are in a position of being at that threshold. So if they're not doing revals this year, they're coming next year.
Yeah.
Somebody was doing it for the first time in like 37 years or something. It was either.
That's-
well, they had to, because the law said they had to.
Yeah.
Which law is that, state?
Yeah,
Yeah.
state statute says you have to be within 80% of market value.
But there's not a fixed period. It's not like you have to do it every 10 years.
Correct.
Or it's every 10 years. or
No,
every-
there's no time constraint on it on one side or the other. So if you live in a relatively tax stable place, then you don't,
Place
it
with
wouldn't
very little
trigger-
appreciation.
exactly, then it would not trigger a reval.
Nobody wants to live there.
Speak
Well,
for
I
yourself.
think Millinocket's gonna be in that shoe pretty quick, because
Yeah.
remember when Millinocket homes were going for dirt?
Well,
And now the revitalization of the mill and everything like that, they're gonna get in.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard
That's
that.
good though, that's
Yeah,
good.
it brings
Real
people,
estate's going up.
okay,
no, it's just a personal comment of the real screw job was when the state said, oh, you seniors out there aren't gonna have to pay anymore. Oh, ha.
Kidding, that unfortunately is also gonna negatively impact our senior tax bills. People who took
Yeah.
advantage of the senior tax freeze,
The
who are now being asked to catch
double,
up,
double up.
yeah. to
Thank
catch
you
up.
very much.
Yeah, we're gonna.
To be clear, no one's being asked to pay the taxes that they didn't pay last year,
No,
which has been a
the increase
misconception,
is just
but the
double.
increase is double.
I mean, personally, I think there's been a lot of publicity about the assessment
That's good
going
to
on.
hear.
And, you know, if you're hearing this the first time, you've been in a shell somewhere,
That's good.
because
Feedback.
it's been out there, and, there's been ample time for people to get a grip of what's gonna happen, and so sometimes they cry because the milk was already spilled, and they didn't know
And
it.
people have until August to do their appeals and whatever before the assessor sets their final tax bill, so.
And this is
Still
for
time.
October,
These are-
right? This is
Yep,
effective October, so.
October tax bills.
These were all mailed yesterday. So I can look
But
forward.
I think the first big batch went out yesterday, is my understanding. I don't know if everybody's went out, but the first
I
big
can
batch
look
did.
forward to receiving it next month.
Well, that's with the postal service. I will say, if you are still waiting and you haven't gotten your letter, they're updated online. You can check your tax,
Oh, is that online now? Okay,
but that's
so
live.
you can check.
What, with the tax assessor?
Yep, if you go through the link on the assessor's page, there's a whole big section on the reval, and it will tell you exactly what tools to use to calculate your new tax bill.
So I have to do arithmetic again?
We all know all that.
You'll have a
Yes.
calculator at home. What-
So
yeah,
maybe- yeah, I can run your property tax card after the meeting if you would like.
Was everybody supposed to have gotten a visit from?
No, they did not do, this was just analytics only this year, so no on-site
Next
visit.
year they're going up again with. Real, maybe.
No, they actually came to my house and I let them in. I agreed to let them tour.
2019,
Was it that, was that the year that they did that?
I
We did too.
let him in too,
yeah.
I let them in too.
I want,
but I wouldn't let him in again.
Well, no, I was like, behold, the mica countertop. Please.
I did update that.
Oh, no, I was pointing everything.
In my case, they didn't have a box to tick for a pellet boiler, and so they reported that my house is unheated.
Unheated.
Oh, that's insane.
That got me
Now
in
you
trouble.
can't get insurance.
That got me in huge trouble with my insurance
Yeah.
company, and so I had to work back and forth and back and forth.
Oh, God, that's so silly, babe. Okay, planning board update, couple of things. Under certain conditions, the planning board approved the reopening of Bailey Seafood on Pine Point Road.
Aw.
That was shut down because of a death and because of a severe water leak that caused a lot of damages. And actually, through the planning board, they're doing some upgrades in the site. i.e., you'll see that there'll be a curb area around that telephone pole and there'll be two entrances in or out instead of having it all uncurved. So you can just drive in any place,
A
so.
death from eating the food?
No, no, death of the family.
Family that.
Oh, I should have said an owner death.
I thought that was my. too.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Good,
Thank
for
you
the
for asking
record,
that.
it was
Yes.
a family death.
Yes.
And
Stay away from the scallops.
Now, stop it, because they're a profitable business.
there's a hotel that got approved off of the Muzzy Road, across from the Lowe's entrance into the gateway or whatever it's called. And finally, the other big one was FedEx presented a plan for the revitalization of the Beach Ridge Motor Speedway into a FedEx terminal, freight terminal, which is very much explained to us that it is not gonna be these FedEx vans and everything going all over the place. This is tractor trailers going in and putting in pallets of goods that then get replaced in a truck that will like go to Best Buy and drop off a bunch of stuff. So it's not gonna be your FedEx guy that shows up at your house with your package.
It'd been so much fun to watch the FedEx trucks speeding around the raceway.
But there's some things that they're working through. But this was the first time we saw a site plan. And so, they've got some work to do.
I know this is off topic, but you expected from me. What about damage to Payne Road? All of these tractor trailers running on, not on Payne Road, on Holmes Road.
Well,
Yeah, I
there's
think that's-
offsite mitigation that is going to be required, and we talked about that Monday night. 4-hour meeting last night.
I was
or
gonna
Monday
say,
night.
impacts the Two Rod Road.
Yeah, well, there'll be no tractor trailer permitted to go down to Rod Road. It has to access from Payne to,
Across Holmes.
yeah. But that's the update from the planning board. Conservation Committee.
Conservation Commission, still working on moving the environmental standards through, the public outreach process. So as a reminder, those are setting larger setbacks around natural resources. Setbacks and buffer requirements. So there is, it's gone to the ordinance committee for their kind of first introduction to it. It's going, there's a developer forum tomorrow with SEDCO, where they're going to present it to the development community. And get that feedback, and hopefully back to ordinance committee later this summer. To move through that process. And then the next thing they are taking up is a tree protection ordinance, which this group has talked about a little bit.
What a great one.
So South Portland just passed or adopted their tree protection ordinance, late in 2023. That's the, what they're kind of basing it on, as a starting point. We're just having our first discussions at their meeting tonight, so we'll see how that process goes. But there has been, I've gotten a few, emails and phone calls from concerned people about tree cutting. And this group has talked about it, commission has talked about it over the past several years, so, that will be the next item.
Jay Chase, you remember Jay Chase?
So remember Jay?
12 years ago, when I was on the Conservation Commission, there was we talked about trees.
Mhm.
And finally, the Transportation Committee.
I don't have a big update from them. They don't meet until next week, but I do believe they've received the draft townwide transportation study. So that's going through review and comment with staff and the committee currently.
What time did it meet?
They meet at 6:30 on Tuesday evenings.
Yeah, I have a question. Have there been any positive comments about the lights at Oak Hill?
I've not heard anything about the lights at Oak Hill.
Hearing that negative is always better.
No news is good news.
I mean,
I don't know if Autumn or Angela have heard anything about the lights at Oak Hill. I have not heard anything and haven't heard them mention
It has
it.
mostly been better than it was.
Yeah,
Like,
Adaptive streetlights are really, smart.
My only complaint is leaving here at night and waiting forever at Municipal Drive and Route 1. Forever, like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's no traffic at all on
We'll
Route
live
1.
across the marsh then, and you can take a right turn instead of a left.
I mean, I was late this morning because I was 2 lights away for 10 minutes, and it's like,
Yeah.
seriously.
Well, I'll log that as a complaint. So I guess I have.
Just two questions for Conscom. Is, the, setbacks, is that just for commercial or is that for residential too? Why?
It would be, anything that is going through planning board for a site plan or subdivision, so it would be larger developments currently. And it would only be for like new development or redevelopment, not for existing.
Okay, and the other thing is, does Conscom know about the Maine State Legislature recently passed Bill LD 649? Which is, that anyone that it prohibits HOAs and COAs from requiring residents to maintain turf grass or remove native plants from their yard. And it took effect in 2023.
I haven't heard of that one, no, so I'm sure that they haven't.
So it's, trying to reduce lawns and, encourage natives.
What was the LD number on that?
LD 649.
Well-
Stacy and, Doughty out of Cumberland, our state senators.
Yeah,
The one out of Cumberland, she put it forth and it passed, I think unanimously. Mills didn't sign it, but it became law in 2023.
Okay.
Under 2023.
I do know that other thing the planning board did was looked at the site plan review, site plan ordinance, and there's been some changes that are being worked through on several aspects of that. One of them last Monday night was focused on landscaping. And now there is a list of approved plants in the ordinance
Updated
that
list.
developers have to use, and they're native plants.
the majority are native.
And there are a few
There are acceptable non-natives, and I believe the language requires a certain percentage, minimum percentage of natives.
It was a great review and streamline and really makes it easier for the planning board to enforce the ordinance because it's more specific. And that's always helpful because making exceptions is not something that should be the rule.
Right.
So
Yeah, everyone wanted to still be able to plant their hydrangeas, so we had to have some acceptable.
Yeah.
There are native hydrangeas.
the
Not
longer we
pretty
keep
good
them here, the
ones,
more
though.
native they become, right? And that's what it changes, our climate changes, there'll be different.
You're only allowed native, but the climate changed enough that none of those will grow here.
Whatever desert cactuses are on the list.
I'm planting a lemon tree.
All right, that's it, we're overtime.
Oh, wait.
Well, it was going to be a shorter
It was
agenda.
gonna be a short one, if you notice the agenda said N9, 9:30, which
But
is our
that's fine,
typical.
we're still on.
Yeah, we're still. Next meeting will be in
Right?
June,
June 26th.
and so we're gonna have a motion, Anton, to adjourn.
Please.
I vote for
All
this.
right, thank you all.